The interstellar trade station above the blue-green moon of Varine 9 was full of life, light, and noise. Ships came and went every minute. Traders shouted, robots cleaned, and strange scents mixed in the air. In one small corner cafe, alone, Human sat at a table beside the large window, looking at the stars. His name was Elias Trent. He was an engineer from Earth who worked on cargo systems and reactor repairs. It was his one day off after 12 days of work, and all he wanted was a quiet meal and something sweet. Before him sat a small plate. On it was a slice of chocolate cake, soft, rich, and rare. It was made from synthetic cocoa, grown on Mars, and cost more than a day's wages. Elias didn't care. The cake reminded him of home, of his mother's kitchen, of birthdays and laughter that now existed only in memories. He cut a piece carefully, savoring the smell. Then, without warning, a hand reached out across the table. A soft, slender hand with silver-tinted skin. Elias froze. The hand picked up the fork and took a small bite of his dessert. He looked up, stunned. Sitting across from him was an alien girl. She had light blue eyes glowing faintly like reflections of frozen lakes. Her hair was white with a hint of silver. Her clothes were simple, light fabric marked with circular patterns that shifted as she moved. Around them, several aliens stopped to watch. Some whispered. Others gasped quietly. Elias didn't understand why everyone suddenly stared. The alien girl chewed slowly, her gaze fixed on him. Then she swallowed and spoke. Her voice soft but clear. Warm, she said. It tastes warm. Elias blinked, confused. You just ate my dessert. She tilted her head. Dessert? Yes, he said. Chocolate cake. You don't just take a bite of someone else's food. Her expression changed to mild wonder, not shame. It called to me, she said. I had to know. The cafe owner, a reptilian merchant, came rushing over. His voice trembled as he whispered urgently to Elias, Human, do you not know who she is? The Cathari do not share food, and she took yours. This is a sacred act among her kind. It means... He stopped, seeing the girl's calm gaze, and backed away quickly. Elias looked around, feeling every pair of eyes on him. What does it mean? He asked. The girl set down the fork gently. It means connection, she said. Your flavor was not like any I've ever felt. It was... alive. He didn't know whether to laugh or panic. You could have just asked for a piece. She didn't answer. Instead, her eyes closed briefly. Her breathing changed like she was feeling something powerful. So much emotion, she whispered. Loneliness, hope, memory. Elias frowned. You can taste that? I can feel it, she said quietly. Your emotions are inside the food. When I took a bite, I felt what you feel. For a moment, the world seemed to pause. The noise of the cafe faded into a low hum. Elias stared at her, unsure whether she was insane or something far stranger. He had heard about empathic species before, but not like this. Most of them could sense surface moods, not memories, not feelings so deep. What's your name? He finally asked. Lyra, she said softly. Of the Cathari line? Elias, he replied almost automatically. She touched her chest gently, then pointed toward him. Elias, she repeated as if memorizing the sound. Then she smiled faintly. Your name feels kind. Her words were strange, but her tone was innocent. Elias could see that she meant no harm. Still, he felt uneasy. Listen, Lyra. I don't know what this means to you, but on Earth, people don't just take someone's food without asking. Her silver blue eyes blinked slowly. I am sorry. I did not mean offense. But something happened when I tasted it. I cannot explain. Before Elias could respond, she suddenly gripped the edge of the table. Her pupils widened, her body trembling slightly. Your emotions, they echo, she said. I feel them even now. He stood quickly. Hey, are you okay? She nodded weakly, though her skin shimmered faintly as if reacting to invisible energy. It's too much, she whispered. Humans feel so strongly. It burned, but it's beautiful. Elias didn't know what to do. People were staring again, whispering about contamination or psychic influence. The cafe owner wanted to call the authorities, but Elias stopped him. She's not hurting anyone, he said. She's overwhelmed. He gave her a glass of water. She took it slowly, her trembling hands calming as she drank. Her breathing steadied. She looked up at him again, eyes filled with quiet wonder. You are unlike any being I have ever met, she said. Your emotions have color. Elias almost smiled. Yeah? What color are they? She thought for a moment. Gold, she said softly. Bright and warm. They touch everything around you. He chuckled a little, though his heart was beating fast. Guess that's a first. Lyra smiled again, small and genuine. It is more than first, she said. It is the beginning of something I do not understand. Elias didn't know it yet, but this strange moment, this one stolen bite of cake, had just begun a connection that would change both of their lives forever. The next morning, Elias woke up to the sound of soft knocking on his cabin door. He rubbed his eyes, wondering who it could be. Few people visited him on the station. When he opened the door, Lyra was standing there holding a small container. Her white hair shimmered faintly under the light, and her expression looked shy but calm. I brought something, she said. Elias blinked in surprise. How did you find me? She looked down. I followed your energy. It calls to me. He sighed, stepping aside. You can't just follow people, you know. There are rules here. She entered quietly, her eyes scanning the simple metal room. Just a bed, a small desk, and a few old photos of Earth. On one of them, Elias was standing with his family near a tree. Lyra stopped and touched the picture gently. These are your people? Yeah, he said softly. My family. Back on Earth. They smile with the same warmth you feel, she said. I can almost sense it from this image. Elias sat on the edge of the bed, unsure whether to laugh or feel nervous. So what's in the box? She opened it slowly. Inside were 2 small silver fruits. Cathari energy fruits, she said. We use them to share calm emotions. I wanted to thank you for your kindness. He smiled slightly. You didn't have to. I did, she replied. You helped me when others would have called guards. You offered water when I was drowning in feelings I had never known. Her voice was soft, and her eyes shone with honesty. Elias took one of the fruits and bit into it. The taste was strange, sweet, then cool, then almost electric. For a brief second he felt peaceful warmth spreading through his chest. Lyra watched him closely. You feel that? Yeah, he said quietly. Like, everything is calm. That is what we share among my kind, she said. It is balance, but your balance is different. Human emotions are wild, deep, and alive. When I tasted your dessert, I felt your life echo through me. I have never known anything like it. Elias leaned back. You make it sound like my cake changed the universe. She smiled faintly. Maybe it did. He laughed softly, but her words stayed in his mind long after. Later that day, when he went to the engineering bay, he couldn't stop thinking about Lyra. He had seen hundreds of alien species during his work, but none had looked at him the way she did, with such wonder, as if he carried something precious without knowing it. During the lunch break, his colleague, a Martian named Red, elbowed him and said, You're trending on the local feed, man. Some alien girl bonded with you over dessert. People are calling it the bite of connection. Elias groaned. Great. Just what I needed. Fame for eating cake. Red laughed. Careful. The Cathari Council might call you for questioning. They're strict about emotional imprints. That evening, when Elias returned to his cabin, Lyra was sitting near his door again. She looked troubled. They came to question me, she said quietly. They asked about the resonance. Resonance? Elias asked. She nodded. When two beings' emotional patterns connect, it happens rarely, but never between species. Now, the Council fears it may be dangerous. He frowned. Dangerous how? They think human emotion could break Cathari control. We are trained to suppress deep feelings, but since I tasted your emotion, I cannot silence it. I feel joy, sadness, curiosity, all at once. It is overwhelming. Elias studied her face. She looked fragile, yet glowing with something new. And what do you want to do about it? She looked straight into his eyes. I do not want to lose it. For the first time, I feel alive. He was silent for a moment. Then he said, You won't lose it. I'll help you. Her expression softened, a flicker of hope lighting her face. You would help me even if the Council forbids it? Yeah, he said simply. You didn't do anything wrong. You just tasted dessert. Her lips curved into a small smile. Humans make simple things sound powerful. The next few days, Elias and Lyra met often. He taught her about human foods, songs, and simple habits. She, in return, explained how the Cathari sensed the world through emotion instead of sight and sound. They laughed over how humans used words to hide feelings, while Cathari used silence to reveal them. Sometimes she would close her eyes and say, You feel lonely again? And he would smile sadly, realizing how deeply she could sense him. Other times he caught her staring at small things like the way humans smiled, or the way he tapped his fingers when he thought. One evening, while watching the nebula from the station window, Lyra said softly, Your people burn with light even when surrounded by darkness. That is why I cannot look away. Elias didn't know what to say. He felt something stirring inside him, a warmth he hadn't felt in years. But peace didn't last. A message flashed on his console from the station authorities. It was an official notice. Both Elias Trent and Lyra of Cathari are summoned by order of the Galactic Council for immediate evaluation. Lyra read it too. Her calm eyes grew worried. They will not understand, she said. They fear what they cannot feel. Elias stood beside her, determination rising inside him. Then we'll make them understand. She looked at him, her silver blue eyes shining with trust. Together, he nodded. Together. Outside the station window, distant stars shimmered. Neither of them knew that this connection, born from a stolen bite of dessert, would soon shake the laws of an entire galaxy. The council building stood high above the glowing city ring of Vereen 9 Station. It was built from crystal alloy that shimmered with shifting light, making it seem alive. Elias had never been there before. As he walked through the tall gates beside Lyra, he felt small among the alien guards and diplomats. The halls were wide and cold, filled with echoing voices that spoke in dozens of languages. Lyra walked quietly beside him, her silver hair floating slightly as if touched by unseen air currents. At the center of the chamber stood the council dais, a half-circle of alien leaders, each representing a different world. They looked down at the two figures below, one human engineer and one Cathari empath. A deep voice spoke from the center seat. Lyra of Cathari, Elias Trent of Earth. You are brought here for examination regarding the incident of emotional resonance. Elias looked up. Incident? It was just dessert. Murmurs filled the hall. Lyra placed a gentle hand on his arm, trying to calm him. Please, she whispered. The council leader, a tall being made of light and crystal, continued. Our records show that you, Lyra, consumed food from a human. After this act, your emotional stability changed. You displayed uncontrolled empathy and unusual attachment. Explain. Lyra looked up bravely. When I tasted his dessert, I felt his emotions. They were alive. They showed me something no Cathari has ever known. I was not broken. I was awakened. Several council members murmured again. Awakened? You speak of chaos. The Cathari are balanced. They do not feel this way for a reason. Lyra's voice trembled slightly, but her eyes stayed strong. Balance without feeling is emptiness. His emotions showed me color, warmth, and meaning. The leader turned his gaze toward Elias. And you, human, did you know this would happen? Elias shook his head. No, I was just eating. I didn't even know who she was. But when she reacted like that, I couldn't just walk away. Another council member, one with insect-like features, spoke coldly. Your kind always interferes. Humans believe emotion is strength, but it can destroy order. This resonance must be contained. Elias frowned. Contain it? She's not sick. She's feeling something new. Isn't that worth studying, not destroying? The council ignored him and whispered among themselves. Lyra suddenly winced, pressing a hand to her head. The overload of emotions in the room was affecting her. She could sense their fear, their anger, their judgment. It burned inside her chest. Elias caught her before she stumbled. Hey, breathe, he whispered softly. I can't, she whispered back. They're flooding me with hostility. It hurts. Elias turned toward the council angrily. You're hurting her. Stop this. A guard stepped forward, but the council leader raised a hand. Human, this is a matter of control. If she cannot contain what she feels, she is a danger. Elias glared. You think feeling something makes someone dangerous? Then you've never been human. The hall fell silent. His voice echoed through the chamber. Lyra looked up at him weakly. Elias, stop! But it was too late. The council had already decided. The leader spoke again, voice cold and final. Lyra will be taken for emotional isolation and cleansing. The resonance will be erased. You, human, will be returned to your sector. This connection ends now. Elias felt the blood drain from his face. Erase it? You mean erase her? Two guards approached. Lyra stepped back, fear flickering across her normally calm features. She looked at Elias desperately. Please, she whispered. Without thinking, he moved between her and the guards. You're not taking her. The guards raised their weapons. The air tensed. For a moment, everything froze. Then Lyra's body began to glow faintly, her silver skin shimmering brighter. She reached out and touched Elias's shoulder. The light spread from her hand into him, surrounding them both in a soft golden haze. Gasps filled the chamber. The guard stepped back, blinded. The energy wasn't violent, it was calm, warm, and full of emotion. Everyone in the hall felt it. Sadness, hope, fear, and love all at once. Lyra's voice echoed softly.
Do you feel it?
This is what he feels every day. This is what humans carry inside. Even the council leader seemed shaken. For a brief second, his crystal form flickered with color, but the moment didn't last. Alarms blared as containment fields activated. Lyra stumbled, weak from the effort. Elias caught her before she fell. We have to go, he said urgently. There's no way out, she whispered. Yes, there is, he said. I built the maintenance systems here. I know how to get us out. He took her hand, guiding her toward the side exit as the guards regrouped. They ran through service corridors, alarms echoing behind them. Elias's heart pounded, but he didn't let go. Lyra followed closely, her eyes bright with both fear and trust. They reached a cargo dock where small ships were parked. Elias hacked into a control panel, overriding the lock. Come on, he said, pulling her inside one of the shuttles. The engines roared to life. As the shuttle lifted, Lyra looked out through the viewport. The station lights reflected in her eyes like stars. They will hunt us, she said softly. I know, Elias said, but I'm not letting them erase what you've found. Lyra smiled faintly, her voice barely a whisper. You feel hope again? Because of you, he said. The ship disappeared into the dark of space, leaving behind a trail of light. And somewhere far behind them, the council debated in silence, unsure whether to chase the fugitives or to question, for the first time, what it truly meant to feel. The stolen shuttle drifted quietly through the dark of space. The stars outside looked endless, stretching into forever. Elias sat in the pilot seat, breathing hard, his hands still shaking from what had just happened. The council's warning lights were still flashing on the console, but they were far enough now that no ship could track them for a while. Behind him, Lyra sat near the window, her silver hair glowing faintly under the soft cabin lights. She looked calm, but her eyes carried the shadow of fear. They will not stop, she said quietly. The council fears what they cannot control. Elias looked back at her. Let them fear. We didn't hurt anyone. That does not matter, she said. To them, emotion is danger. They will not understand that it can also heal. He sighed, rubbing his face. Then we'll just have to make them see it somehow. But first, we need a safe place. Lyra looked at the star map on the screen. Her finger traced softly over a faint blue cluster. There, she said. Nebula Field 74, it's quiet. Few ships go there. Elias nodded. Good choice. He changed the course and leaned back as the ship hummed. For the first time in hours, silence filled the cabin. He glanced at her again. She was still staring out the window, her expression distant. "You okay?" he asked softly. She turned her head toward him. "I feel too much. It is difficult to hold it all inside. I sense your worry, your anger, even your hope. It fills me. Yet I do not wish to let go of it." Elias smiled faintly. "Maybe that's what being human feels like most of the time, too much all at once." Lyra tilted her head, studying him. "And how do you live like that?" He laughed quietly. "We try, we fail. We keep going." She seemed to think deeply about that. "You keep going even when it hurts?" "Always," he said simply. "That's what makes us strong." Her eyes softened. "Then perhaps that is what I have learned from you." Hours passed as they moved through the silent void. Elias repaired the damaged systems while Lyra helped where she could, learning fast, curious about everything. When the engines cooled, they drifted quietly through the glowing clouds of the nebula. Colors shimmered outside, soft blues and golds swirling like dreams. Lyra sat beside him, her gaze lost in the lights. "It feels alive," she said. "Like the emotions inside you." Elias smiled. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" "Yes," she whispered. "But beauty is new to me. Before I met you, I only knew balance and silence. Now I see color everywhere." He looked at her face, noticing how peaceful she seemed when she talked like that. Maybe that's what connection does. It lets you see the world differently. Suddenly, the ship beeped. A signal flashed red on the screen. "Incoming transmission," Elias muttered, quickly checking the controls. "It's from the Council fleet." Lyra's body stiffened. "They found us." Elias frowned. "No, the signal's weak. It's not from them, it's coming from a nearby ship. Someone else is out here." He turned on the receiver and a calm, tired voice came through. "Unidentified shuttle, this is the research vessel Solace. You are entering a restricted nebula zone. Identify yourselves." Elias hesitated. "This is Elias Trent, human engineer. We're just passing through," the voice paused. "Elias Trent, you're wanted by the Galactic Council. They claim you abducted a Cathari citizen." Lyra spoke up before Elias could answer. "I was not taken. I came freely." Another pause. Then the voice softened slightly. "Understood. Dock with us. We can provide safety for a short time." Elias exchanged a quick look with Lyra. She nodded. "We should go. Hiding here too long is dangerous." They approached the small research vessel. It was old but stable, floating quietly among the glowing mist. When they docked, the airlock opened to reveal an older alien scientist with gentle eyes and gray skin. "I am Dr. Harn," he said. "You're lucky you found me. The Council has ordered all stations to report your location." Elias nodded. "We didn't mean to cause trouble. We just wanted to get away." Harn looked at Lyra curiously. "You're the Cathari empath who connected with a human. The Council fears you might spread instability." Lyra lowered her gaze. "They call emotion instability. I call it life." The doctor studied her silently for a long moment. Then he smiled faintly. "Perhaps they are wrong." He led them inside and offered food and rest. The room was quiet and warm, filled with gentle hums of machines. Lyra sat by the light panels, her fingers touching the smooth surface. "I feel safe here," she said softly. Elias nodded. "You should rest." "I do not need much rest," she said. "But you do," he smiled. "You're starting to sound like me." Her lips curved in a small smile. Maybe that is the resonance growing stronger. Later that night, while Elias slept in the next room, Lyra stood by the viewport, looking at the stars. Dr. Harn approached quietly. "You know the Council will not stop, child. They fear what they cannot explain." Lyra turned to him. "I know, but if we can show them that emotion brings strength, not chaos, maybe they will change." The doctor nodded slowly. "Perhaps the universe needs people like you and him to remind us that feeling is not weakness." Lyra looked out again. "He feels everything too deeply, but that is why he saved me." Harn smiled gently. "And perhaps that is why you will save him one day." Outside, the nebula lights shimmered softly. The quiet ship floated peacefully, but somewhere far away, the Council's fleets were preparing to move. The calm before the storm had begun, and the strange bond between a human and an alien girl was about to be tested more than ever before. The next morning, the silence of the small research vessel was broken by the soft beeping of warning signals. Elias woke instantly, jumping from his cot. Through the thin metal walls, he could hear the hum of the engines and the faint voice of Dr. Harn calling for him. He rushed to the control room where the doctor and Lyra were already standing. "They found us," Harn said quietly. "The council has traced your energy signature. 2 cruisers are on their way." Elias stared at the screen showing 2 bright dots moving fast toward their location. "How long until they reach us?" "Less than 1 hour," the doctor replied. Lyra's eyes shone faintly as she looked at the data. "They will not stop until the resonance is destroyed." Elias clenched his fists. "We can't let them take you." Harn turned toward him with calm eyes. "There might be one way. If you reach the outer edge of the nebula, there is a small energy rift. Dangerous, but it can hide your signal. I can guide you there." "You're coming with us?" Elias asked. The old scientist smiled faintly. "No, someone must stay behind to delay their scanners. I will give you time." Lyra stepped forward quickly. "You will die if you stay." Harn shook his head. "I am old, child. But your story is new. It must continue. Go." Lyra's eyes filled with emotion. For a moment, she touched the doctor's hand. A soft light glowed between them. "Thank you," she said. "You have kindness in your heart." He smiled gently. "And you have hope in yours." Elias and Lyra ran back to the shuttle. As the engines powered up, the ship trembled. Harn's voice came through the comm one last time. "Go now. Don't look back." Elias took a deep breath and pushed the throttle. The small shuttle burst forward into the thick golden mist of the nebula. Lightning-like flashes of energy lit up the clouds around them. The ship shook violently, alarm screaming. "Hold on!" Elias shouted, gripping the controls. Lyra held onto the seat beside him, her face pale. "The energy waves are unstable," she said. "I can feel them. They pulse like living hearts." He adjusted the stabilizers. "We'll make it." Behind them, 2 large council cruisers entered the nebula. Their bright beams cut through the glowing dust, searching for them. "They're gaining," Elias muttered. Lyra closed her eyes. "Let me help." "Help? How?" "I can reach them through feeling," she whispered. "If I connect their hearts to yours, maybe they will stop chasing." He looked at her in disbelief. "You can do that?" "I can try." She placed her hand gently over his. A wave of warmth spread through him, and then a faint light began to pulse from her chest. Her silver blue eyes glowed softly. "Think of what you feel," she said. "Let them see it." Elias saw the ship speeding up again. "It didn't stop them," he said. Lyra gasped softly, her energy fading. "Their leader resists it. He shuts the others off from feeling." Elias looked ahead. "Then we go through the rift." The ship shook harder as they neared a massive swirl of golden light. The edges crackled like thunder. "If we go in there, the systems could fry," he said. Lyra's hand gripped his tightly. "If we don't, they'll catch us," he met her eyes. "Then hold on." The ship dived straight into the rift. Light exploded all around them. For a moment, there was nothing but brightness and sound, like 1,000 heartbeats in harmony. Then everything went silent. When Elias opened his eyes, the stars looked different. The nebula was gone. They had come out on the far side of the system. No ships were behind them. Lyra was slumped against the seat, breathing slowly. Her skin shimmered faintly but looked weak. Elias quickly checked her pulse. It was steady but faint. "Hey," he said softly. "You did it. You saved us." Her lips curved in a small, tired smile. "We saved each other." He sat beside her for a long time, just watching her sleep. Her calm face looked peaceful in the soft light. He felt something deep inside, a quiet admiration that words could never describe. Later, when she woke, he had already set a course toward the human embassy on Epsilon 3. "We're going there," he told her. "Maybe they can help." Lyra nodded slowly. "The council will not give up easily. But if we reach your people, maybe they will listen." He smiled. "They'll have to. You're proof that our 2 kinds can understand each other." Outside the window, the stars shimmered like tiny fires in the dark. For the first time, Lyra rested her head gently on his shoulder. The closeness felt natural, quiet, and safe. "I feel peace," she whispered. "When I'm near you, the noise in my mind fades." Elias looked down at her and smiled softly. "Then I'll make sure it stays that way." Even without words, the fear of being caught, the pressure of keeping her safe, and the quiet hope that still pushed him forward. "You never rest," she said softly. He smiled faintly without looking up. "Rest later. Fix now." She tilted her head slightly. "Your body grows weaker, but your heart stays strong. I can feel it." He finally looked up at her. Maybe that's what humans do best, keep going even when we shouldn't. Lyra's expression softened. And that is why I cannot stop feeling what you gave me. Elias sat down beside her, wiping sweat from his forehead. The cabin was dim, but her eyes glowed faintly like stars. Do you regret it? He asked quietly. She shook her head. No, before I met you, I lived in silence. My world had no color, no warmth, only balance and order. Now I see more, feel more, even if it hurts, he smiled gently. Then it was worth it. Suddenly, the radar beeped. Elias quickly turned to the screen. A red mark appeared, an incoming ship. His heart raced. No, he muttered. They found us again. Lyra's body tensed. How? Maybe they tracked our jump signature, he said. It's only one cruiser, but we can't fight it. The ship's comm buzzed. A cold, deep voice came through. Human vessel, power down your engines. You are harboring a Cathari citizen under council protection. Surrender immediately. Elias clenched his jaw. Not again. Lyra looked at him. You cannot win against them. I know, he said. But I'm not giving you up. The cruiser's tractor beam began pulling their shuttle in. The entire cabin shook. Elias tried to fight it, but the controls locked. They're taking us in. Lyra touched his arm. There might be another way. He looked at her quickly. What do you mean? Her silver blue eyes were calm but full of determination. If I link with their empathic network, I can reach their minds again. I can show them what we are, not a threat but a bond. Elias's voice rose in panic. No, Lyra, last time it almost killed you. She smiled softly. If they destroy me, then the council will still learn the truth. If they feel what I feel for you, they cannot unsee it. He shook his head. No, I'm not letting you do that. She reached out and touched his face gently. Her fingers were cool and light, but he felt warmth inside his chest. You once said humans never give up. Then let me be human for a moment. Before he could stop her, she closed her eyes. Her body began to glow with soft silver light, brighter and brighter. Elias shouted her name, but she didn't respond. The light spread through the ship, then reached outward through the beam that was pulling them in. Inside the council cruiser, the crew froze. Their screens flashed with strange signals. Then, without warning, every alien aboard felt something. They felt her emotions. Love, fear, hope, and courage flooded their hearts. Some gasped. Others dropped their weapons, confused and trembling. Elias watched through the small window as the cruiser's lights flickered. It's working, he whispered. Lyra's voice was soft but clear. They see you now, Elias. They feel what you gave me. Suddenly, the light around her grew too bright. She screamed softly, clutching her chest. Elias caught her as she fell, her glow dimming rapidly. Lyra, stay with me. Her breathing was weak, but she smiled faintly. Do you hear them? She whispered. He listened. The radio crackled again. A different voice spoke, calm and shaken. Human vessel, this is Commander Talon of the Council Fleet. We are standing down. You may proceed to Epsilon 3. No harm will come to you or your companion. Elias couldn't believe it. They're letting us go. Lyra's eyes fluttered open weakly. They understand now, she said softly. Even the strongest mind cannot deny what it feels. He held her tightly, his voice trembling. You did it. You saved us again. Her voice was barely a whisper. You saved me first. Hours later, the cruiser disappeared from the radar. Elias guided the shuttle toward Epsilon 3. The stars ahead were bright, and the blue light of the planet slowly filled the window. Lyra was resting on the seat beside him. Her body looked fragile, but her breathing was steady. He brushed a strand of her silver hair away from her face. You know, he said quietly, humans usually say thank you when someone saves their life. Her lips curved into a faint smile. Then thank you, Elias Trent. He laughed softly, relief in his voice. No, Lyra, thank you. As the shuttle entered the planet's orbit, the human embassy's beacon came into view. The sight of the shining towers and the blue surface below made Elias feel a rush of hope. We made it, he said. Lyra opened her eyes, the faint glow returning. Then maybe this is where it begins again, not for us alone, but for everyone. Elias looked at her, realizing she was right. The story that started with a simple dessert had become something greater, something that might change the way humans and aliens saw each other forever. Elias guided the shuttle to the landing bay. His hands shook slightly as the craft touched down with a quiet thud. When the engines powered down, he turned to Lyra. She sat still, watching the light come through the small window. Her skin looked pale, but her eyes were full of calm. We made it, he said softly. She looked at him and smiled faintly. Yes, Elias Trent, you kept your promise. He smiled back, though tiredness filled his face. Let's hope they believe us. As the door opened, warm air rushed in. A group of humans and alien officials waited near the platform. The lead officer, a tall woman in a dark uniform, stepped forward. Elias Trent? She asked. That's me, he said. This is Lyra of the Cathari. The officer nodded politely. You are safe now. The council has contacted us. They've withdrawn the order for your capture. They've requested a meeting instead, one that may change our future relations. Elias blinked. They actually want to meet? Yes, the officer replied. They say the Cathari leader has felt what your companion showed their fleet. It spread like an echo through their network. They cannot ignore it. Lyra listened quietly, her hands folded in front of her. Then perhaps they understand, she said softly. The officer led them inside. The embassy's halls were bright and filled with quiet energy. Humans and aliens walked together, their eyes following Lyra curiously. Elias noticed how she stood tall, not hiding anymore. She no longer looked like the silent alien girl from the cafe. Now she carried herself with grace and quiet strength. After a short rest, they were brought to the council chamber. This time, instead of cold judgment, the room felt different. The same council leader who once ordered Lyra's isolation appeared through a holographic display. His crystal-like form glowed faintly with shades of color that hadn't been there before. Lyra of Cathari, the leader said, his voice calm. Your act has reached us all. For the first time, our people have felt human emotion in its true form. We cannot deny its power. Lyra bowed her head slightly. It was never meant to harm, she said. It was only meant to connect. Elias stood beside her. And that's what we humans have been trying to say for centuries. Connection is what makes us stronger, not weaker. The council leader's light flickered softly. Perhaps your words are true. The council has agreed to begin new talks with the Human Alliance. A shared research exchange, emotion and logic together. You have changed much, human. Elias smiled a little. I didn't do it alone. The leader looked at Lyra. And you, Cathari, have proven that feeling does not destroy order. It deepens it. You will return to your people not as an exile, but as a guide. Lyra's expression softened. I will go where I am needed. But a part of me will remain here. The leader's image faded, leaving the room silent. Elias turned to her. So that's it? You'll go back. She nodded slowly. My people need to learn what I have learned from you. But I will not forget. The bond we share will not fade. Elias looked down, struggling with his emotions. You don't have to go right away. Lyra stepped closer. If I stay too long, the balance between us will break again. But do not be sad, Elias. You showed me life. You showed me what it means to feel. He smiled faintly. And you showed me what it means to understand. They stood together quietly for a long time, the light from the window falling across their faces. Outside, the twin suns of Epsilon 3 began to rise, painting the sky with gold and silver hues. Later that evening, Lyra prepared to leave on a Cathari envoy ship that had arrived peacefully. Elias walked her to the docking ramp. The wind from the ocean brushed against them, carrying the sound of waves. I don't know how to say goodbye, he said. She turned to face him. Then do not say it. Humans say goodbye when they fear they will not meet again, but our connection is not of words. It is of hearts. He looked into her glowing eyes, feeling the same warmth he felt the day she first took that bite of cake. That dessert caused more trouble than I ever imagined, he said with a small laugh. She smiled softly. It was not trouble. It was destiny. He reached out his hand. She took it gently, her touch soft and steady. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Their hearts beat in quiet rhythm, a bond that needed no words. When she stepped onto the ramp, she turned once more. Elias Trent, she said, her voice carrying through the wind. Never stop feeling, he called back. And you, never stop learning what it means to live. The ship's door closed slowly and the engines began to hum. Elias watched as it lifted into the sky, glowing like a silver star against the rising suns. He stood there for a long time, watching until the ship disappeared beyond the clouds. Then he looked down at the small metal fork he still carried in his jacket pocket, the same one she had used to take that first bite of dessert. He smiled faintly, whispering to himself, warm. She said it tasted warm. As he walked back toward the embassy, The sun's light fell across the ocean waves, and for the first time in years, he felt complete peace. Somewhere out there among the stars, a part of him continued to shine through her. And across galaxies, the legend began to spread, a story of a human and an alien girl who proved that even the smallest act of sharing, a simple bite of dessert, could awaken something greater than power or fear. It could awaken understanding, compassion, and a love that reached beyond the stars.